Today I've been asked to have a wee look at this electric mobility P200 power chair. As you can see, again, I seem to get the chairs that have been well used condition. I think that's, I need to put a screw in there for him. He really needs arm pads, but customer's kind of skint at the moment. But what's happening with this particular power chair, it's cutting out. It's fully charged. I've taken it for a test drive. It didn't cut out at all whatsoever, and suddenly when I went over a bump it cut out. So I mean, it can drive away and spin away. Now it isn't manual, that's why you can hear the motor spinning as it's in drive, and that's it in manual. So they're in manual and that's drive. So the motors are spinning away, but when you go over a bump it seems to be cutting out. So what we need to do, I'm going to get my rolling rod out, put it in drive, put a bit of sellotape on here to keep it spinning away, and what I'll then do is check all the looms, move every single part of the loom to see what's causing it to cut out. What I've done now is I put the gearbox in drive, so the motors are going to spin, the wheels are going to spin. Switch it on. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a bit of insulating tape and push the joystick forward. And hold the joystick forward. When it's at full power, full speed, what I'm going to do back is going to go back down to the motors and move all the wires. And I'll do that from the back side, close to the battery box. So now the wheels are spinning. When I went over a bump it cut out. So what I really want is to have a look close at the batteries here. As we just pulled that connection out, that's why it cut off, lack of power. But it's no, that's that connection there, that's the connection that joins the battery from one to another. Now you can see I've moved this and it's suddenly cut out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this out as well. See, what I check in here is I check to make sure this is what you call an Anderson connector. And what sometimes happens is these wee lugs, they fall back inside it now and they become slack, but these ones are hooked over the piece of metal inside the Anderson connector, and so is this side here. So at the moment I'm quite happy with these. So let's switch it back on again since it's cut out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to switch these off here and just let the motor spin. Right, the motors are spinning away. Now, I'm going to gently move this wire here and here. Right, this one's cutting out. Let's have a look inside the battery box. Ah, there's something. Oh, I hope you've seen that spark there, and a bit of smoke as well. Oh, I can see what's wrong here. Yes, look, that's all melted. So we've got our offending article here, and that actually goes on the circuit breaker here. And if you have a look at this side as well, it's more or less the same. So what you do is cut these. Remove the circuit breaker. Maybe put a new circuit breaker on it. It's not too bad. I think it's because of a slack connection and it's moving round about. That may be the reason why that is like that. So I think we found a problem, but what I'm also going to do is I'll check this side as well. So what I'm going to do now is remove the old one, strip it, so what we do here is get a appropriate connector. There you go, and what we'll do is we'll crimp that, and once I find my crimper, so I'll crimp that. And now I'll put some heat shrink over it. So not to expose the metal, I'll just heat that. Just so it doesn't move. So that's one done. Let's put that there. Hey, that's better. And that needs to be a nice tight fit on here, which it is. And another one that I've just done will go here. Now that is tight, that's not going to move at all. So I think we've solved the problem. Lovely jubbly. Now that's me sorted new connections on here on the circuit breaker, so they're not slack anymore. But what I have noticed, when this is on here, the circuit breaker is very close to the battery terminal, and that's where a lot of sparking. Can you see where it's been sparking against there? And it started to melt it. So what we're going to do here, we ever put the batteries in, put them in the wrong way. So I'll just lift the battery out, spin it round the other way. So when the circuit breaker now sits on top, it'll be on this side here and nowhere near the battery terminal. And you can see that'll be nowhere near. Good. Now I've got some washers. I'm quite happy to put this on here. Oops. had 2 washers, now I've only got 1. What is that washer going? Ah, there we are. Now these are supposed to go over the battery connection, but it would be quite handy if it went over the whole connection rather than just the terminal. But now that we've moved the battery box, I mean, it shouldn't really. Where are we? Right, now that I've got it, I'm happy with this one. I'm going to check the other one, just in case it's the same thing. Here we are. Waterproof cover for the circuit breakers back on. Let's see whether. See, this one's. See, look. This one's been doing exactly the same thing there. So we'll just take that off and do that one exactly the same. There's no washers on here, and it's not just been acting on here. It's been rubbing, but it's no been acting. So I mean that's not right. Okay, now I'll cut it, fit a new connector, bit of shrink wrap round about the end bit so it doesn't make a contact. I'm going to take this side off. As I say, it's not got a washer on either. It should really have a washer on. I'll turn the battery round. What you could do is just turn the lid round, but the customer's used to the circuit breaker on that particular side because he said to me he's operated it a few times. So I don't want to get him confused by putting the circuit breaker on the opposite side. So I'll just turn the battery around. Let's see. Also, my mistake when you're putting these on, pay attention with the positive and negatives that you don't make a mistake. My favourite bit is always to take pictures. I tell a lot of people to take pictures. Sometimes I take pictures myself on a product that I've not worked on before. And let's put these covers back on. There you go. Now let's connect a new connector back onto the circuit breaker. Tight. Put it around how it's supposed to be. I reckon that should be the chair sorted, but yet again I don't just say it's sorted. I'll need to take it for a test run again, but I reckon that's it. I'm quite happy with that. Just let's check the other connections.